Hello, how are you?
I'm well, except I had a moment this morning.
What did you do this morning? What happened?
Nothing. It was completely inconsequential, but I was sitting on the couch with Mochi and I was cuddling her and Chris said, "Oh, she looks so cute. Give me your phone so I can take a picture." And so he took a photo of me in my house coat with my tiny little dog snuggled into the crook of my arm. And I looked at it and all I could see was my mother. And I'm like, I look so old. I mean, not, my mother's beautiful, and she does not look her age either. But nobody wants to look at a picture and feel like they're looking at a photo of their mother when they're looking at a photo of themselves. You know,
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to think of how I need to answer this question.
sure,
It's
go for it. Are
loaded.
you
It's
trying to
really
be,
loaded.
I won't take offense at all.
No, you know what? I guess it depends on perspective and yeah, I don't know. I personally I think you are beautiful and fresh looking and you've got this youthful glow about you every time I see you.
Aw.
So I certainly do not see the aging that you think of. But you could have
Well,
also seen your mom when she was in her, 30s,
yeah, no, I don't see my
right?
mom when she was in her third,
You
but I
see
think
her
it's
like
just the
today.
no, yeah, a little bit. And I honestly was not like asking for a compliment or anything. And it's just a weird feeling
Yeah.
to not, it feels almost like I'm not just me. It's like I'm kind of morphing into my mom in a way. And everybody wants to have their own individuality.
Mhm.
And I think that's more what it is because my mom doesn't look old. I'm not like, oh my goodness. It's just I said, oh, I look so old, but that's just because I can see the changes. And of course, that's here I've got this light on me and I've put some makeup on and done my hair, but I just really noticed it. I
Uh,
really noticed it. So it was a moment, but I appreciate your compliments.
I
And
think, and I think as we age and get into sort of our middle-aged years,
Hmm.
um, I think it is something that we're really hard on ourselves about
Yeah.
instead of going with it and enjoying every moment and just, not really caring so much about, this line or this wrinkle or
Yeah.
this frown line that I really want to get rid of or,
Really?
whatever, right? It's like I think it's natural for us to do that and we're our own worst critics,
Always 100%.
which
Yeah.
is horrible. I think we
No.
should be, you know, guys don't do that to themselves,
I don't.
right?
Well,
I,
I mean, my husband will talk about the things that he's noticing, but it's more about like the way he feels and the things that he can't
mm,
do as much anymore
that's
now that he's getting older. And
yeah, that's fair.
yeah, you're right.
But yeah, again, we just need to appreciate who we are becoming and
Mhm.
and love every last bit of ourselves. And I know that's definitely easier said than done. I'm
Definitely.
absolutely guilty of looking in the mirror or seeing that snapshot and going, ah, that.
Whereas the
But
first time I ever met you, I was like, wait, no, you're how old? No, there's no way. So we talk about how old we are all the
I
time.
know, right? I know we kind of do, don't we?
We
But
do. I
yeah.
think we're just kind of wanting to make sure people know that we have a few years under our belt and, enough to know what we're talking about, or else it's just a part of life.
Exactly. It is part of life, and it should be a
Yeah,
part of life that we're celebrating and not tearing down all the time.
it's
So,
true. So thank you for that. And I will try. I will work really hard on that. It's
yay.
always been an issue for me. And I think it's because of that, having been told all my life, you look so young, you look so young. What do you mean? You're married with three kids. That's not
Yeah.
possible. How can your kids be so old? And so you kind of create this identity for yourself as being, I'm the one who looks young. And then it's like, if I'm starting to age, if I'm starting to get anywhere near looking like my age, I think it's just a clash of what you think you know about yourself. And it's just kind of coming to terms with all that and being like, no, I'm just going to be me. Let me just be me and be whoever, look like whatever I look like right now.
And you are wonderful.
And
So
you're wonderful too.
no worries whatsoever there. And I appreciate who you are and what you are.
Thank
And it's you're beautiful inside and out. So
Thank you. That means a whole lot to me because I trust when you say that. And it took a long time for me to come to the point where I can hear somebody say something like that and actually be like, "Thank you." And believe that you mean what you're saying. So, I appreciate you. And I'm so glad we're friends.
me too. Me too. Yay.
Ah, yay.
Totally
Okay.
not baking related. So
No,
you
baking,
you
turning into
are
one of those little old granny apples. No.
no, but you are hilarious. You are absolutely hilarious. So just for our audience, this is just you continue to blow my mind. And so yesterday I texted Lisa and I'm like, hey, I've got this cool idea. Why don't we start doing like feature a cookbook of the week? And I'm like, how about we start with this cookbook that we just launched the episode of with Janus
Janusz.
and Kieran, and we picked up his book and it's beautiful. And I'm like, why don't we feature this one this week? And Lisa comes back and she goes, oh yeah, let's each do a recipe out of there. So we each chose a recipe, and literally an hour and a half later, she sent me pictures of her bake. I haven't started yet. We're
You don't
supposed to be posting our first one tomorrow. So guess what I'm doing after this?
I can't wait to see what you bake. That was really fun. I just got inspired. I mean, Yanush's book is so beautiful. And
Isn't it
then
so?
the recipes that you sent me, as soon as I saw that one recipe, I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. And I just jumped on it. And I mean, you gave me that lovely Madeleine pan for Christmas. So that just made it easy.
Yeah. And I was going to say, it's a good thing you have Madeline pen. You
I
don't have to
know.
borrow one from a friend.
I know. It was great and really fun. And now I'll bring those treats to work with me today. So it's a win-win-win.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So
Yeah. But we have a new, not a new guest, another guest on today, someone who we've known for quite some time and who we've been really excited to have on. And I'm really excited about sharing this conversation.
same here. We've been trying to track him down for I don't know how long, back and forth again, working schedules, and it's tough when people work and they're different time zones. And I'm so happy that we finally made this work. And we're
Mhm.
going back into the archives a little bit with this one, back all the way back to season 4, which seems like a lifetime ago, of Great Canadian Baking Show. And we're going to be speaking with none other than Tanner.
Yes, so excited about having this conversation with him. And we hope that you all enjoy this conversation just as much as we did. So, everybody, please welcome Tanner. There we go. Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Tanner. How so good to finally chat.
I know, I'm so excited.
So
So
are
happy to
we.
have you here. So, what are you up to?
Oh, nothing much. Just got back from a little vacation. We were just in the Bahamas for a week, so
Oh,
Oh my
settling back
gosh.
in. Yeah, I have
I'm
some family down there. My grandpa lives down there like 8 months of the year, so take
Wow.
advantage whenever we can.
oh,
Yeah,
how awesome.
yeah.
How was it down there? Did you
It
like
was
just
so
get
nice.
yeah, the
Yeah.
weather was good and
Yeah, I just took my son down because my husband couldn't get the time off work, so
Oh
um
man.
they had some
sucks for him,
one
but
Yeah.
one time with your cutie.
yeah, it was my first time traveling alone with him, which was an interesting experience. So,
And
How
how old is he now?
um, he just turned 2 about a month ago.
Wow.
So,
sweet. What a great little age too.
yeah, yeah, he was good. He was fine.
Yeah. On the flight, did he enjoy it? Was that his first plane ride or had he
No, he's
been?
done a couple, but usually there's two of us, so we can tag team. And this time it was like, yeah, I was carrying everything, but he's just at an age where he doesn't want to be held. He wants to run around, and there's a million people in every airport. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's a bit
Wow.
yeah,
daunting.
it worked out fine. We got home,
You
both of
got
Good.
it.
us.
Good. You survived.
And you're
Yeah.
not more
Stories.
exhausted on after coming home than you were while you were away.
Maybe a little bit. We're also like sleep training him as of yesterday, so
Mm.
um
Oh.
yeah. in case I go
Fall asleep?
misty-eyed for a second, but we're all good.
All good. We are both feeling pretty tired today. I fell asleep on the couch this afternoon and so
Yeah. Yeah.
so
One of those
Tanner,
days.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
We will talk over each other if in case you haven't noticed. Um, so to for people who haven't seen you, because now our show is
Mhm.
sort of starting to reach into other countries, not just Canada. So
Very exciting.
very exciting. So give us a little bit of an overview about who you are and what you do.
Sure. I'm Tanner. The reason I'm here is because I was on season 4 of the Great Canadian Baking Show,
Yeah.
woo, woo, where I made the finals, which was
Yes.
amazing. Um, Outside of baking, I live in Winnipeg. We've been here for about 6 years. My husband and I, originally from Ontario. I have a music background, so kind of an artsy background. And now I'm a stay-at-home dad to a rambunctious 2-year-old boy.
Oh,
No,
sounds awesome.
does
And
actually.
yeah, so obviously you love to bake. That's how you made it
Hmm.
onto the Great Canadian Baking Show. How did you get into baking to begin with?
It's really because of the baking show. I kind of called myself like the first baking show baby. Not, not including the British version, but I really I never watched the British version until the Canadian version had started airing. And that's why I started baking. And I wanted to audition for season 2 after watching season 1 just because I became so obsessed with it. But my now husband, we were just dating at the time. We moved to Australia for a year and then England for a year. So put it on hold. We moved back to Canada and applications for season 4 went out. So I applied and got on.
So
That's
the
Um,
first
amazing.
first time you applied, you got on?
yeah, I'm one of the
Did you
first
hear that, Lisa?
timers.
I know
I'm
I
sorry,
heard that.
guys. I know the theme of this podcast is not
Is
conducive with that, but
always a bridesmaid, never a bride is the theme.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do think it's a lot easier for men, I will say.
That is a point
Probably
for
about 10
sure.
times easier.
And
Probably
also
just
in
the sheer
season
number
4,
of applications too,
yeah.
right, that come in. Yeah.
No,
Exactly,
but that doesn't,
exactly.
we don't want to take anything away from
No,
your skill as a
for
baker.
sure.
Yeah,
Like,
Absolutely.
don't get us wrong
yeah.
with that because you definitely deserved your spot on the show. And I think it's really impressive that you had only been really like
Yeah.
baking for a few years at
Hmm.
that point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have a big food family, like especially my Italian side of my family. But baking was never really a part of it. Lots of pasta, lots of gnocchi, but not a lot of baking. So I didn't have like, grandparents' recipes to turn to. But, we're in the age of internet baking, so
Yes.
I just, you find your favorites and you start to learn.
So, what was the first thing that you baked?
Oh God, the first thing that I baked, I actually do remember this. It was strawberry shortcake, like mini ones. They're really cute. So yeah, the actual like strawberry shortcake and then whipped cream. First time I ever whipped cream, which is just bonkers. And then some cut up strawberries, and they turned out really well. I still have the photos. I'm not sure if I ever even posted those. Um, yeah, but I do remember that. Maybe a little more ambitious than like the classic chocolate chip cookie or
Yeah.
something.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
That's pretty standard for, I think, most first time bakes for people.
yeah,
Chocolate
yeah,
chip
but
cookies. Yeah.
my first, I don't know, couple months of baking, I really just like jumped in hard. Like I was doing pastry and all of this complicated stuff without kind of learning the basics. And then I gave myself a bit of a crash course in the basics after that, which I definitely highly recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
so,
what did you bake for your audition for season 4?
Mhm. Okay, so we
Oh,
we
that
were
was
the
a
first
pandemic
COVID
season.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we I remember I submitted my application on my birthday, which April 28th, um coming up.
Yes, I'm like, oh,
Election day, can't wait.
election day,
right.
Election day on my
Yes.
birthday.
and my
You
niece's
know,
birthday
no
too.
comment.
I'll never forget your birthday now.
And Mahati's birthday. We have the same birthday.
Oh,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
no, that's
She
awesome.
maybe 4 years younger than me, but We still have the same
We
birthday.
That's
definitely do.
crazy. And you guys both made the finale.
I know, yeah. Yeah, what are the odds? Two out of the three finalists on our season have the same birthday.
That
Yeah.
is really cool.
I'm sure
Yeah.
that's never ever happened ever.
Yeah. Yeah, so we did Zoom auditions. We were the kind of inaugural class of Zoom auditions. I think it was only us in season four or season five that had to do Zoom auditions. Maybe season
Um,
six.
Season
Yeah,
6 was
six,
Zoom
two.
audition still.
Yeah.
Yeah, was still. I think they made it easier
Yeah.
that way because I did
Well,
audition
yeah,
for season 6.
I
So,
remember that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so we were instructed to bring a kind of decorative bake, kind of, mimicking a showstopper, but without any brief at all. We could just make whatever we
Yeah,
wanted,
whatever. Yeah.
but they wanted it to have, a big feel, like a showstopper feel. And then we were tasked with, I guess it's kind of mimicking a signature challenge. We had to do a tarte tatin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they told us not to tell people that, but it's been like 5 years. Like I feel like we can tell
Okay.
people that.
The statute of
Um,
limitations has run out.
yeah, my NDA is long gone,
Long
so
gone. It's all good.
Okay, spill
spill it.
it.
And they
Um,
probably they likely change what they bake for the bake-alongs anyway. So
yeah, I think
yeah.
I think they told us not to tell anyone because they thought maybe they would have to do it again for season five, and I think they gave them a different challenge. But a tarte tatin is it's kind of like the perfect challenge for a Zoom bake along because Um, you have a couple skills. You need to make a caramel, you need to make some kind of pastry. You have a bit of an option if you do like more of a pie pastry or more of a puff pastry.
Mhm.
But also it doesn't take that long to make.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I thought it was a good challenge. And it was signature-esque. So they said like, come up with your recipe. The Zoom call will be maybe an hour and a half. And we had to have this like multi-cam setup. So I had like my phone on my face, my laptop pointing down onto my stove for like making the caramel and putting the pastry on, and then an iPad like pointing down where I was making the pastry.
Wow.
Yeah. Um, and I remember mine was inspired by A Dark and Stormy, the drink.
Oh,
So it was like
yes.
Hmm.
rum and there was some lime and plums was the fruit I chose.
Oh,
Mm.
yum.
And it's very stressful because if you've made a tart tatin before, there's the flip, there's a flip moment. You make the caramel, you put the fruit in, you cook it, you put the pastry on, you bake it in the oven, and then you flip it onto the plate. So
Mhm.
if that fruit sticks, if that caramel is a little overdone and that fruit sticks, when you flip it out, it's just like it all falls down in this
Ugh.
gloopy mess. So it was a great challenge because there is drama. And of course they're asking us a million questions while
At the same
while
time.
we're
Yeah.
doing it,
While
which
you're
was great
baking. Yeah.
practice. Yeah, great
Yeah.
practice for the show.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so obviously you did not get a gloopy, presentation. Everything came
It
out
all worked.
brilliantly,
I
I'm sure.
I
And
remembered I was so stressed and I wanted it so bad. I think I made 14 practice tart tatans. And they told me that they asked everyone how many they made, and I had made the most. So
I would
they
think
saw
so.
the commitment, the dedication, and maybe that's
no
why
kidding.
they picked me. They
And
knew I
Maybe.
would
were
work for it.
Yeah.
were they all the same, or did your final bake evolve from the first tart tatin that you made?
It kind of stuck on a theme.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I remember picking plums from the jump, and it was not plum season.
Mm.
And I remember going to Walmart about 1,000 times. Um, Thankfully, it wasn't in this current grocery economy. I probably would have had to refinance the house with the amount of plums that I bought.
Yeah.
But I just kept going like 9 p.m. being like, I need to make another one. I need more plums. Um,
What did you
yeah,
do with
but
all of them?
we ate a lot of them and then we gifted a lot of them. And everyone was like, why are you bringing me another like, strangely designed tart tatin, but it's like very specific flavors. Like we don't know what's going on. But,
Oh
they didn't
man.
complain because they got,
Something really
free
tasty.
dessert. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm really glad that all that commitment gave you what you were striving for.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you do for your original in order to get into the bake along? Because you
Oh,
did
the
the tart
showstopper.
tatin, but what did you do for your showstopper-esque
Yeah.
presentation bake?
Actually, yeah, it's pretty interesting. I did a mirror glaze. It was the first mirror glaze I did. It was like any of my Instagram followers are listening right now, I've done quite a few miracles. There was like a period, like a year-long period of my life where like every week I was doing them because I kept getting orders for them and they were like so perfect for Instagram because they're just
Mhm.
like really,
Mhm.
artistic and quite striking.
Yeah, they are
This was the
beautiful.
first mirror glaze I ever made though. And it was inspired by water lilies, the Monet paintings.
Mm.
And it was, that kind of texture and colors for the mirror glaze. And then I had like some edible rocks I made around the edge. And I had a very striking water lily that I made sitting kind of like the centerpiece of it,
Beautiful.
sitting on top made of tempered white chocolate so I could show like other
Nice.
skills that I had. And they loved it inside, a couple blueberry mousse, I think, and a lemon jelly,
Mm.
if I remember correctly. Um, and yeah, they really liked it, and it was very pretty. And they liked it so much that they suggested, the culinary producer on our season suggested that, we had episode one cake week. We had the three-tiered mirror glaze cakes, and they
Hmm.
said, why don't you just do that again? It's like you've already done a lot of the work. So that was the inspiration of my Cake Week showstopper, and a lot of similar elements, but different cakes because it was a cake, not like a mousse based
Cookie
thing.
me, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
turned out really well.
It's
Very
just
cool.
astounding to me the number of skills that you learned in a short period of time
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm
in
very
order to,
dedicated.
yeah, and to feel
Yeah.
confident enough to be like, okay, I'm going to go on this national show and just
Yeah,
figure it out as I go. And but
yeah,
you did not figure it out as you went. Sorry. You prepared a lot.
It's,
yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
no,
it's
wrong choice of words
There
there.
was some figuring it out as I
With the
went.
technicals, I'm sure there was some figuring it
Yeah,
out.
definitely some things that I'd like never heard of, never seen before, but I was very prepared. Yeah, just speaking of the technicals, I brought this book by Mark Bittman. He's like I don't know, cookbook nerds would know that name, but he wrote a book called How to Bake Everything that is, for pod
Oh,
listeners, you
wow.
can't see my hands, but it's a
Yeah.
big book. Um, and that became like our Bible after we would do the signature bakes. Everyone would like gather around the book and be like, okay, what do we think it's gonna be? Let's refresh our mind on
Oh,
like shoe, like because it's almost like an encyclopedia of technique. So
mhm.
that's the kind of like preparedness I was trying to bring. I was like, I don't have a ton of experience. There's going to be some people here that, were baking when they were 3 years old with their grandma, and they've
Yeah.
been, the matriarch of the family for 50 years. They do 1,000 butter tarts a year, and I just don't have that experience. So I gotta bring the hard work.
And you
wow.
shared it with everybody.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you've talked to enough of us that the
Uh,
vibe is
Yeah.
sharing is caring. We're all
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
And you're
If
all in it together.
Yeah, if there was some wisdom imparted in that book, it just would have felt like
Hmm.
dishonest or that's not how I would want to win. I would want to
I
win
love
because
it.
I executed the best, not
Mhm.
because um I had this like extra resource that they, might not have thought to have brought.
Yeah.
Mm.
True. It sounds like a really good resource, actually. I'm like,
Yeah, no
I think
Mhm.
kidding.
I might like to look
Look it
at
up.
that
Yeah.
book. Yeah.
Yeah.
How to
Yeah.
bake everything.
So
Yeah.
did you pick up that book when you found out you were making it into the tent, or did you have that book before when you started doing all your baking and applying and all that kind of stuff?
I think I had it before. I don't remember exactly. Um, I've collected quite a few books. I'm sure
Mm.
you guys can relate to this.
Yes.
But
But
have you collected as many as Patty
I
has?
can
Have you
almost
seen how
guarantee I
many?
have not.
Yeah.
Patty has a lot of
Yeah,
cookbooks.
yeah. I find that overwhelming. I mean, the internet is the greatest resource.
Hmm.
Books are fun. I love getting a new one and sitting on the couch with a cup of coffee and reading, and
Mhm.
that's fun. But I mean, the internet is kind of the go-to.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Yeah.
easier to find exactly what you're looking for at
Oh,
that moment, you know?
Yeah.
exactly.
And the
Yeah.
nice thing about scrolling through Instagram and finding different things as well, or Googling it or whatever, is that you can actually find multiple recipes at the same,
Yeah.
generally in
Hmm.
the same searches and stuff,
Yeah.
and go through and kind of see what are things that are similar, or just changing things out, or things that
Hmm.
you like from one recipe and patch it together with another recipe or things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do a lot of
Yeah.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
something
ingredients do I have at home? How many plums do
yeah,
I have left
exactly.
over?
Yeah.
Something that I think, yeah, people don't always think about is how climate affects baking. And
Mhm.
I live in the prairies now, but I learned baking when we were living in Toronto. It's very different, and I have to make subtle adjustments. So finding like, prairie mom blogs are like a lot more useful to me than,
Mm,
maybe like a famous UK
Right.
recipe blog or something,
for
just because
sure.
it is quite different.
Yeah. And humidity is huge
Yeah,
as well. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know
Amazing.
that for your macarons.
Oh, yeah. Humidity and macarons, high
Yeah.
humidity and macarons just don't go well together. At least that's my experience. I'm sure there are
Yeah.
other people that have to bake macarons in very high humid climates and have found a way, but yeah, find
Hmm.
them. Yeah.
So when you first walked into that tent and staying
Mhm.
6 feet apart from everybody else, of course, with your masks on,
Yeah.
um, how did it feel?
It was amazing. It was so they show it on TV as if we walk in for the first day of signature, and that's when
Your
we see
first.
it. But we had, days of photo shoots beforehand. So we got to see it before, which I think is a bit of a missed opportunity because,
Mm,
we're all on the show because we're super fans. We've all been dreaming of that moment of walking into the tent, and to not capture that on camera, to like try to
mm.
fabricate it for the first episode, I feel like is a bit of a missed opportunity. So,
Yeah.
but they know what they're doing. So,
They do a good job of
Yeah.
it, but
they
I
do a
mean,
very good
you have a
job.
point there, that's for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot more screaming. Maybe
Maybe that's why
maybe
they do
not for me.
it.
I was just like awestruck. And I remember the lighting. The lighting was like it was TV lighting, so it's just like I was 28 at the time we filmed, so I wasn't late 20s, but I was just like I look like I'm 18 again. It was just like the
Hmm.
years of hard living had been like lifted off my face. I was like, everyone looks amazing.
Well, Lisa, we definitely need to get in there then.
If you want to get some new photos, like yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
was just
exactly.
doing before you guys came on, I was just going like this and being like, I wonder if I should like get a thread lift here and get my jawline back. Maybe I just need TV lighting.
yeah,
TV lighting, obviously.
yeah,
We need tent
Or
lighting. We
yeah,
yeah,
need
tent
yeah,
your
or
lighting.
Canadian
just be
baking show
content
tent
with myself.
lighting.
That must have been an amazing moment for you then. I mean, the
Yeah.
screaming it says it all.
Yeah, I,
Face
I don't think the screaming was coming from me. I think it was coming from probably Dominique, if I had to
Okay.
guess. Right.
Well, what an
Love
exciting time though.
dearly.
And especially I know you were a one application and you made it onto the show, but for like I think of somebody like Jen Childs, for example, who
Yeah.
applied 8 times
Mhm.
to finally get on and walk into that tent and be
Mhm.
part of it. I mean, that experience must have been so surreal
Exactly. Yeah.
for her, right? Or
Yeah.
people who've had those multiple applications and
Yeah,
have wanted it for
definitely.
so long.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it was almost like a parent figure to you for your baking because this is
Hmm.
what inspired you
Yeah.
to start baking. So yeah, it's like coming back to the mothership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And maybe there is a method to the madness of having you guys see the tent before you actually start baking in it, because I would imagine that would be an extremely overwhelming moment for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the nerves would have probably been like sky high for
Yeah.
that first initial signature bake. So this way it was more like, hey, here's the tent. And then you can get
Yeah.
all of that excitement out of the way so
Yeah.
that when you did have to do your first bake, I'm sure the nerves and butterflies and everything are still all there, but
Hmm.
maybe it's a bit more familiar and not
Yeah.
completely.
I agree with that. I think it would have been a bit overwhelming to have it all happen at the same time. I mean, walking into that first challenge, like we just all wanted to throw up. I mean, it was like it was horrible. I mean,
Oh
like
no.
it was exciting, and we just had to make bundt cakes. We had like an hour and a half to make bundt cakes. It was like pretty standard challenge. It's
Yeah.
it's a good way to get our feet wet, but
Mhm.
um it just felt like especially that first episode to get all this way and to have something, happen in the first episode that takes you out, it would just be
Hmm.
devastating. So it just
Yeah.
felt like there's so much on the line.
So what did it feel like after you got that first bake out of the way?
It
Was
felt
there,
good. I mean,
that was,
yeah, at the end of every bake, it was just a huge relief.
Hmm.
Um, I can't really pinpoint one bake where I was like, oh God, this is like a mess. Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
lucky to say. I'm very critical of myself. Don't want to hype myself up too much. I also was never thinking like, oh, I absolutely nailed that. Maybe
Hmm.
like a couple times, but um, I never thought like, oh, this single bake is going to be the reason that I go home. It
Right.
always felt like it would be if I did get sent home, it would be like a cumulative thing. Like I just,
Right.
Mm,
didn't hit the marks on a couple times. It wasn't like one splat disaster.
yeah,
Right.
fair. Yeah,
Which
that's
didn't
totally
happen.
fair. And you
Yeah.
were you were super solid all through season four. I don't think you had any missteps really. I mean, there were, a few things like you said that you were a bit probably a little bit more critical or thought that you could do something a bit better. I think everybody probably feels
Has
that
that
way
feeling. Yeah.
with every bake. Even if
Hmm.
it's even if you have the perfect bake, you're always so I think we're
Yeah,
our own worst critics as bakers.
definitely.
So but when you see your development through that season, you were like just solid and it was like the solid climb the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt that I felt that as well. I didn't really have a moment where I was like, oh, I'm going home. Like I felt pretty safe. And I think that is also a result, just kind of like tip to future bakers, of not really taking like a ton of risks. Like I was pretty comfortable doing it. Probably speaks more to the preparing that I did.
Yeah.
Um, I knew what I was going to do and I knew I was how I was gonna try to execute it. Um, yeah, so you could spin it in different ways. Some people say like a steady climb, but some people say I was playing it safe maybe.
Hmm.
Um, but I wouldn't change anything. I mean, I really wouldn't. I mean, I would love to redo every single bake and do it better, but
It takes a lot of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
But also I would
Well,
not do
well,
that.
Yeah.
obviously your strategy paid off because you made it all the way to the finale. So congratulations on that. That's massive,
Thank you.
right? To be able to be, week after week, make it through and get to do all the bakes that you practice. So
Hmm.
your tatin that you did 14 times
Hmm.
for that initial audition bake. Did you treat all of the other briefs similarly too, where you were making them multiple times, or were some bakes trickier than others in the preparation for the show?
I wish I could have made everything 14 times, but that's just not practical. I
Yeah.
mean, we had, I think we had like, just shy of a month to prepare and I think we came to the filming having like the first 6 weeks prepared or something. So we're talking about 12 recipes that have to be like, fully conceptualized, practiced, timed out. And it's not just like baking it once because you have to make sure you
Yeah.
can bake it in time.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so yeah, I wish I could have practiced more. Of course, and that's kind of the person I am. But I mean, you at a certain point, you just kind of have to. You can only practice so much, right? Like you
Hmm.
have to go off of a vibe after a certain point, and I'm a huge advocate for building flexibility into every single one of your recipes because something's gonna happen. You only got one shot at it, so.
Yeah. And especially under the conditions that you're filming there. I mean, I think you filmed a little bit earlier that season, if I'm
Yeah,
not
we were the
mistaken.
one season that was weirdly
Not
timed.
too hot.
Yeah, yeah, we filmed in the fall.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think we started filming,
Later.
I think it was like September 1st.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I think the
Ooh,
finale we filmed like October 1st or October 3rd or something.
okay. So you
Um,
you would have hit like super crazy high humidity at that time of year
yeah, it
in
was
Ontario.
it was interesting. So they do have some kind of like fan system in the tent.
Okay.
But you know, I think they were trying to save a bit of money because they were like, oh, it's the fall, but it's like people forget. I don't know if you guys have spent time in Toronto in the fall, but
I have not.
it's like you think it's getting cooler and then it's like 35-degree
Yeah.
weekend. And that's great if you're not baking. So it's like it got cold for one day. It was actually bread week because it was like the one week that you wouldn't mind a bit of extra warmth.
Yeah.
And then it got really cold. So they pulled out the fans and probably returned it to like whatever rental company. This is all allegations. I have no idea. I have no proof of this.
Theoretical. Yeah.
But then the fans weren't there anymore and it got super hot again. So we're doing like, pastries and meringues and stuff in like, 30, 35 degrees without any kind of like air system going
Mhm.
on. So
Oh,
yeah, that's what I complain about. Obviously, we didn't have any like torrential downpours that some of the other seasons had, or like 40-degree chocolate tempering
yeah.
Yeah.
sessions. But it wasn't the most straightforward. You never really
Right.
knew if it was going to be, 10 degrees or 30 degrees.
Right.
So
So
prepare for everything.
prepare
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Have your backup plan, your contingency plan.
Yeah.
So when you were doing all this planning, were you working at the time?
I wasn't. It was an interesting time for me. So we had just relocated we were living in London, England.
Hmm.
And then late 2019, we moved to Winnipeg to kind of settle down. Like, we're both from Ontario, but my husband's a doctor and he had a great offer here, and we wanted to, find a place we could settle down and have a family. So we came to Winnipeg late 2019. I had a great job in London. I kept working for them online even after we moved here because I was doing like a tech-based job for the Royal Academy of Arts in London.
Cool.
Um,
Nice.
and so I had that part time, and then COVID hit. I mean, it was like a couple months after we just get settled, and COVID hits, and then it's like, okay, now what? I was like planning on starting a job search, but luckily we didn't really have the financial pressures because my husband's like a specialized doctor, and he can't
Mm-hmm.
really take his salary away, and he
Yeah.
makes enough money to. But then I'm a stay-at-home boyfriend at the time. Like we weren't even
Yeah.
engaged or married yet. So I was a bit lost. I mean, you can't really do a job search the first 2 months of COVID. It was just like, I mean, everyone's getting fired, let alone hiring new
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
people.
was a
Yeah.
challenging time. And yeah, a lot of places were even shuttered. So depending on, depending on what type of job you were looking for,
Yeah.
right? Offices weren't even operational. It was everything
Yeah,
was over Zoom and yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So I was having a bit of a slight identity crisis. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be super dramatic about it, but I wasn't really doing anything. And then the show came along and it was something to focus on.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky that I didn't have to work through that prep period and I could just go away for 6 weeks
Yeah.
out of nowhere. So yeah, it came at the right time in my life. It gave me something to work towards. It gave me like a purpose, a
Purpose.
sense of
Yeah.
self. Um, and yeah, so I'm grateful it came then. I don't if it happened now, I don't think I could do it. I mean,
Mm.
I don't know. My husband works like 12 hours a week. We'd have to get like full-time like nanny, I guess, but
12
I don't
hours a
know.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a totally different. Well, now you're kind of settling into your family era,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Yeah,
speaking of
it really
which,
feels like that.
let's talk about this next step in your
Yeah.
family journey that you're working on right
Ah,
now.
Yeah, I'd
Let
love
us know a
to.
little bit about
ah.
what you've been sharing and
Yeah.
what you're trying to work toward.
Yeah, so it's no secret. I have a husband. I'm I'm gay. What? Everyone's
What?
shocked. What? What's going on?
No.
Yeah, another gay baker. Oh,
Revelation.
one thing I do kind of laugh about when people ask like why do I think I got put on the show? And I always say that like the thing that made me unique wasn't that I was gay, which is usually what makes me more unique. It's the fact that I was in Winnipeg because there was like no one on the show until I got on from Winnipeg.
You're the first
The
Um,
Winnipeg.
first
yeah,
Winnipeg baker.
yeah, first, and now there's three of us, so that's
Yeah,
nice.
that is awesome.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so back to what we were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had our son via surrogacy,
Mhm.
um, which was, we can go into a little bit of the details, but we essentially had an egg donor who donated eggs, and we both made embryos from those eggs.
Yes.
Um, we had our son using an embryo from my husband, and now we are looking to go through a second surrogacy journey with one of my embryos. Um, and yeah, the surrogacy world is very complicated,
Mhm.
and I do think, there are definitely some issues with it, especially in other parts of the world. But in Canada, we have a purely altruistic system,
Mhm.
so women who decide to be surrogates cannot make any money off of it. They can't
Right.
profit,
Mhm.
um, as well as agencies that facilitate surrogacy.
Mm.
I think they have to be nonprofits. I might be making that up, but they can't really draw a profit from the
Mhm.
system, which I think is good because you do have the possible scenario of, exploiting a woman for her
Mhm.
natural abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had our son just over 2 years ago in 2023, and we are deep into our search for another surrogate. We had an amazing relationship with our son's surrogate. Luckily, she was here in Winnipeg, and we still have a relationship with her. She was just very upfront from the beginning that this was like a one-time thing for
Mm.
her,
Okay.
which a lot of surrogates will kind of go on what they call sibling journeys.
Mm.
Mhm.
We knew that wasn't going to happen, but when you meet a great woman wanting to be a surrogate, that's not a reason to say no because
Right.
um, yeah, so we are now 15 months into our search. So that's kind of and
Wow.
that's not even like a really long time in the surrogacy world.
Mhm.
Wow. How long was the process the first time around for your son?
To find a surrogate was about 7 months,
Okay.
so less.
Mhm.
But we did also have to go through like the embryo creation part.
Yeah.
Now we have plenty of embryos on ice, so they're ready to go. Um, and yeah, we decided to start. We were quite private the first journey. It was very new to us, and it's very vulnerable. I mean, and
Mhm.
not everyone loves it. I do get quite a bit of pushback, and I've been promoting this on my baking account and have lost actually a ton of followers because of it.
Oh,
I don't really care. I would trade, no offense to any of my followers listening, I would trade every single one of you to have
have another
another
baby.
baby.
Yeah.
But I love you all. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere. Um, yeah, so yeah, I guess it is controversial, especially for people that don't necessarily know all the details
Mhm.
about how the system is set up in Canada.
Right.
Yeah, so we decided to post a lot more on social media just to get ourselves out there
Mhm.
um, as like a different avenue instead of just relying on our agency to try to
Mm.
connect something for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we've been excitedly rooting for you and
Oh,
Yes.
thanks,
you know,
guys.
it's
Yeah.
it's always something like when you see somebody that you know for one thing, and then you get this window into these very private, very important parts of their lives.
Hmm.
To me, I find it to be an honor. It's just like being able to talk with you today about who you are and not just, I mean, yes, you're behind a screen to us right now, but it's different. We can kind of explore things a little bit more, and it feels very important to be able to get to know who somebody really is. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
so when you started sharing about what you and Michael are trying to find, for me, I'm like, okay, now I'm invested, you
Yeah.
know, like I can't help, but I can share it or,
Yeah, exactly.
it's just one of those things that I'm sort of disappointed to hear that you've lost some followers or gotten some pushback, and I hope that you continue to just keep your spirits really high
Yeah.
about it and not don't take it personally and
Yeah.
and
Oh
certainly,
yeah, I don't. I think that's like that I know it's something that would have really bothered me years ago.
Mm,
Now, I don't really care. And I really do feel like that's what the show taught me. Like, none of us really get like a ton of hate from the show. It's just, it doesn't attract that audience.
Hmm.
yeah.
But, there's some comments here and there, and you see things, and even just seeing like how, some of your friends get treated.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I guess it thickens your skin a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
And
have
it's
to.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's really easy to be like a keyboard warrior,
Warrior.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And hide behind that facade of yeah, just and throwing out these comments. And it's like,
Mhm.
why?
Yeah.
If it doesn't jibe with something that you're feeling, then move on, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
There's
Yeah.
lots of other stuff, like just
Hmm.
swipe on by.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
That's why
it's
I really don't
just as
mind
easy as
the,
that.
yeah, that's why I really don't mind the unfollows. It's like,
Yeah.
when they have a snide comment or a personal message that's like, why aren't you doing this? Like, what do you, whatever. I don't need
Hmm.
to go into it, but
Yeah.
Right.
um,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, and
if it's
especially
an
for something
unfollow, it's like, if you have a problem with that, that's fine. That's your life. I
Yeah.
honestly, I don't judge you either. And I feel like I don't know, maybe you shouldn't have been here
In the
on
first
my
place.
page in the first place.
yeah,
So
but
maybe
that
I'm not
does
the person for
happen.
you, and that's fine.
Yeah, but that does happen. I know of a few other bakers that I follow as well that have recently had children
Mhm.
and are have been posting more about their kids and family
Yeah.
Hmm.
life and that kind of stuff. And and they've posted, hey, blah blah blah, like this is happening too. So I think it's more common than not for
Yeah.
maybe some people to, people who want to just be focused on the baking or
Hmm.
whatever
Hmm.
your page is all about. So yeah, certainly like Lisa said, I hope you guys aren't taking it at all personally, and the
No.
right people will be following you and
Hmm.
following your journey and
Yeah.
cheering for you and hoping for the very, very best that you guys will find a surrogate for your second baby.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up. I wasn't expecting that, but it is something that it's very vulnerable. I'm not.
For
I
sure.
mean, for someone who went on TV, it seems a bit silly, but I'm not super used to being like publicly
Mm.
vulnerable. So, but it is a choice we made to better our chances. So,
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah. I hope you're okay with that. So I was like, oh,
Yes.
Oh, totally,
maybe
yeah.
I shouldn't have, but
No, it's fine.
that's
It's a good
Oh,
great.
thing.
well,
Yeah. No,
it's something.
we're cheering you on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's something important to you guys, right?
Hmm.
And I think it's an important story to share too, because there might be other people that are in very similar
Yeah.
situations as you are,
Hmm.
and have no idea. So hopefully, your sharing your story maybe helps out other families that are in search of options and
Yeah.
opportunities to start a family
Hmm.
or expand their families.
Yeah.
So cool.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Yay.
so
Yay.
cool.
I'm excited that you get to be a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is truly a privilege.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky to, you know, I had a great little career. I guess I stopped working when I was like, oh my God, this is pathetic, but like 29 maybe.
Way to go.
Um,
That's
yeah, it was like
awesome.
very short career. It was like I did my bachelor's, I did a master's degree, and then I worked for like 5 years. But that's okay because it made me interesting enough to attract a doctor, and now I get to be a stay-at-home dad.
And
Fabulous work. You did
Yeah.
a
that
great job
works.
It
there.
worked.
The world works in mysterious ways, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's
And
Yeah.
your
awesome.
husband works at a children's hospital?
Yeah, he's
Uh,
an eye surgeon at a children's hospital.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's
Um,
he's pretty remarkable.
that's wonderful. I was an operating room nurse for my first 5 years of nursing, and so
Hmm.
um, yeah, very, very, very. We don't have a children's hospital here, but
Yeah.
that kind of work is so important, and
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and making such a difference in so many kids' lives.
Hmm.
And because he's an eye doctor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, pediatric eye doctor. So, I
Hmm.
mean, look the difference he makes, the impact he makes for so many
Yeah.
kids who, need that assistance. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is amazing feeling like I get to be a little bit part of it. Like I get to he works really hard and I get to make his life a lot easier
Yeah,
by,
yeah.
making sure everything else in his life runs smoothly. I
there
also
you go.
do, work for him a little bit. I do his billing and
Oh,
I'll,
awesome.
some admin stuff to make his
Good.
life a little easier.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that is good, but bringing it back to baking a little bit,
Yeah.
that is kind of my thing, and I think it's really important for stay-at-homes to still have your thing.
Yes.
I don't do orders anymore. It's just too much stress, and I can't bake on a timeline anymore. It's not the way
You
the
have a
rhythm of my life
2-year-old.
is right now.
I mean,
Um,
a 2-year-old will just take up all your energy.
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. Hence
But you're
the
baking with your little one.
yeah, yeah. I wish he'll get there. He'll get a little more advanced because he wants to do so much more than he can do at the moment.
Mm.
Like he just is desperately wanting to crack an egg, but I'm like,
Oh,
it's like
just do it. Just do it. Don't
I'm
what
a
if
little
you
Then
have
you
like a
have to
uptight.
little
clean.
mess?
I know.
But
I'm a
the
little
price of
uptight.
eggs,
I'm
the
more of a
price.
Lisa right now. I can see the way you're reacting. I'm like, oh, it'll be such a mess, and then it's like
Yeah.
waste an egg. And it's like,
Oh, it's
um,
Uh,
exactly.
and
so I'm
I'm like,
finding
go
more and
for
more
it.
ways to get him involved, and he loves
Yeah,
it. Yeah, he
that's
really
Hmm.
loves it.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. That could be a cool little side thing that you guys can do. And because there are a lot of like amazing kid bakers on social
Hmm.
media right now as well, and they start at very young ages,
Yeah.
and it's amazing some of the stuff that they can do. So and especially if they love it, right? That's
Yeah.
first and foremost. If they love being in the kitchen and baking and creating and making stuff, like, yeah, what a great opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Just
most of
think.
my recipes are not most, but like I would say half of the baking I do now is very kid friendly. We're
Mhm.
a lot of vegetable hiding, a lot
Oh,
of
Very
applesauce
nice.
pretty.
substitutions.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so it is nice to have him kind of involved in the making of his own food.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And
What's his
just think,
favorite? Oh,
sorry, one of these days, like when your son grows up, he is not going to have the same story as you. He's not going to be like, "Oh, I came to it so late
Exactly.
in life." He's going to say, "My dad was always baking. My dad had me in the kitchen from the time I was 1.5 years
totally.
old." Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
pretty
Totally.
exciting to think that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe you're
Making an impact.
inspiring the next one of the next great Canadian baking show bakers.
Yeah, season 20 something.
Oh my goodness, I do hope it's around that long. I hope it doesn't take us that long to get in the tent, but I hope it's around
Yeah.
that long.
Maybe you'll be in the tent with my son
Maybe
in
we'll
20
be in the
years.
tent with him. Yes. Can you imagine full
Oh my
Just put
circle
God.
that out
moment?
there.
I would love to see that.
I'd be
But I
like,
hope
I
it doesn't take that
remember
long.
talking to your dad way back
Exactly.
when. Actually, it would be an honor.
Wouldn't it though? That
Yeah,
would
it
be
would.
amazing. That would be so cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Or if they had like a little kids, a great Canadian
Yeah.
kids
I would love that.
championship,
Yeah,
Well,
I
that
and
would
would be.
love that.
Loic is wanting to host something like
Mhm.
that. And that I
Yeah,
think he would be
he'd be
so
great at
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be wonderful.
that would
Well,
be fun.
what do you say to playing a little game of this or that?
I'm so down to play a game of this or that.
Yes. Great.
All right, we're ready.
All
Christina, why
right.
don't you start us off?
Let's start us off nice and easy. Coffee or
Mm.
tea?
Coffee times a million. Coffee, 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 coffee,
Oh,
coffee.
okay. Coffee holic.
Not, yeah. Husband is a tea. I'm a coffee.
Okay.
Um, but I bake with both. Yeah, I love coffee bakes. With tea
Mhm.
baking, there's so many more options.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, but the day doesn't get finished without a couple cups of
Couple,
coffee.
There you
at
go.
least a
Are you
couple,
like
yeah.
a
Yeah.
Marcus coffee guy? Because Marcus, I think, had, what did he say? He starts off his day with like six
A
or
lot of
something cups of
espressos.
coffee. Yeah.
Not quite, but I'm a little worried about my caffeine intake. It's like
Oh.
I'll have like 1 or 2 cups of coffee in the morning, which is fine. That's totally fine. But then I usually work out when Lachlan is napping. Lachlan's my son for people that don't know. When he's napping, I'll usually work out and I do like a bit of pre-workout, which has like so much caffeine in it that I'm
Right.
like, maybe I should cut back. But I can't cut the coffee out. It's like it is my it is my
Ritual.
moment to collect myself before another chaotic day.
There you
Oh,
go.
I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you,
And
definitely. Yeah.
and really, do you have to cut it out if you're sleeping well at night? Then, oh, okay.
Okay.
Are you
I'm
saying
sure
that's the problem?
he will probably ask the doctor about this, or the doctor
Yeah.
will notice how much
Yeah.
and be like, so why is your heart racing like that?
Yeah,
I
right.
think maybe it's the coffee. So, what do you take in your coffee? Because, like, if you take it black, then it's only the caffeine you're worrying about. For me, I going through nursing school, I was drinking like 4 or 5 double doubles a day, and
Oh
it's
wow.
that sugar and
That's
that
a lot,
cream.
yeah.
And so then I'm just like, oh, I'm like they talk about the freshman 15, and I'm like, oh no, this is the nursing school 90 or something like that, right?
And
So
like
if
the sugar's crashing you as the coffee's lifting you, and you're just,
yep,
is it
yep.
helping?
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
bad thing to get
I'm
into, definitely. So now I have to limit it because I take it with cream and honey in it. But
Okay.
if you're taking it black, it must be easier to just keep
Yeah, I
having
just do a splash of milk.
it. Hmm.
But yeah, hardly any. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All
Yeah,
right.
because those fancy drinks can get you. Like I remember when I was a sales rep for years, and I would always start my day off with a Tim Hortons French vanilla cappuccino
Oh yes,
and
they're
a
fancy.
cinnamon raisin bagel toasted with butter. That
Oh
was
wow.
Yeah.
my daily order at Davies, right?
You can do that once upon
Until
a time, but the older you get,
uh,
the worse it is.
oh my God, oh crazy! Until I actually checked out just for, just, hey, I should probably find out what I'm actually putting, drinking, right? So
Yeah.
I checked out the nutritional information for French vanilla
Ooh, a
cappuccinos.
scary place.
I have not had one since. Let's just put it that way. I don't even know if they still make them. This is like going way back, way, way,
Yeah.
way back. But
At least you guys
yeah.
both work out because that, that really makes a difference.
Mhm.
Okay, next question. Sweet or savory bakes?
Oh, this is always impossible to answer. I'd probably say sweet, but it really is like a 55-45 situation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Balance.
I don't discriminate. It's all beautiful to me.
Yeah.
For eating
Yeah.
or for baking or for both?
Uh, Both. I would say baking. I prefer sweet just because I feel like you have more options.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, but eating, probably both.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, balance is good.
Balance is really good. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Viola or violin?
Um, Actually, it's viola.
Oh,
I
sorry.
will have to correct you.
Viola. Sorry. We'll try that again.
This is not
Viola.
I'm so glad you did
the
that.
woman's name. This is an instrument.
Do you want me to cut
Um,
this part, Christina?
We'll do it again. All right. The next question,
we're not
No.
cutting it.
viola or violin?
Thank you very much. I feel honored and respected. Um, well, my main instrument is viola, but I play both. But what I studied at university, properly was viola. So that's the soft spot in me
Heartstrings.
is for
Mm,
that. Yeah. But
yeah.
violin, it's like it was interesting. Like violin is so flashy. It gets all like the fun, cool parts. It's the star. The viola is a background player, but it's very
Mhm.
important. Don't
There,
forget about it.
for sure.
Um, yeah.
That's awesome. It's like the trombone of the,
Yeah,
is-
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
You never have, like, very rarely would you have a trombone as sort of the
The
main,
feature,
the
yeah.
feature. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Tina,
always
it's
supporting
actually
cast.
pronounced trombone.
Okay, we'll move on from the musical instrument questions and stick to baking.
Moving on. Signature, technical, no, sorry. Signature, technical, or showstopper.
Oh, stress. Not technical.
Okay, because you
Definitely
can't
not
bake
technical.
it 14 times to practice.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, not technical. I would say I would say signature
Hmm,
because it is more about the flavor and the story, and it's less about the like intricate, detailed decorating.
uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
Um, which I think a lot I like to decorate with natural things in my daily life. I like to decorate with fruit,
Yeah.
maybe a nice shiny glaze or something. I like to use natural colors to color, buttercreams and things like that.
Hmm.
But on the show, you gotta show some skills.
Yes.
Um, and that was, I guess, like a tough point for me,
Hmm.
something I had to really work on. So I would say signature, where it's less about design and more about, showing yourself through your baking.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that
I
makes
like that
sense.
answer. That's a good
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very good answer. Not that there's any wrong answer to any of these, but no, it's interesting to get everybody's perspective. I think so far when we've asked that, because that's a standard question that we ask all the bakers that have been
Yeah.
on the Great Canadian Baking Show or the Great Aussie Bake Off too. We
Yeah.
we ask the
Very good.
questions too. But I don't think we've had one person who's actually said technical,
Yeah.
Oh, really?
but we've had probably more people say showstopper.
Yeah, I figured. I
So
feel like that's, it's the exciting part. It's
yeah,
Mhm.
the make or break. If you have a terrible week but you nail your showstopper, you'll
yeah,
probably be okay. But
yeah.
also, if you have an amazing week and you fail your showstopper,
Mhm.
you might be going home. It's like it's
Yeah.
definitely the more important one.
I
Yeah.
have to say that for season 4, the technicals were my favorite,
Mm.
probably of any season, and the ones that I come back to because I bake along with every season.
Yeah,
Starting with I think it was with season 4 that I started
yeah.
doing every single
I
bake.
remember.
Thank
Follow
you.
closely.
The cannoncini was one of my favorite tastes ever.
Well, I'm
The
glad someone liked it.
taste. Yeah. I wasn't like this is amazing. The garden dumplings though, I
Oh yeah,
loved those. I loved those.
those
And
are good.
then
That was
yeah.
fun.
And for the passion Charlotte, I
Mhm.
use the mousse recipes from that all the time
Oh yeah,
because they're just
that's a good one.
everything and the gâteau Saint-Honoré was
Oh yeah.
delicious too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I look back at all those technicals, I'm like, you know what? That was a great season for technicals. I was
Hmm.
not doing them to time. I was not doing them under pressure in a tent
Yeah.
that was fluctuating temperatures, but it was a good year for technicals. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too. You had a mix. Like we had pretzels. It's like something that's
Yes.
everyone knows what a pretzel is, but then you have like
Love them.
cannoncini and everyone's like, "What?"
Hmm.
Um,
So good.
yeah. Yeah, it was a good mix.
It
Yeah.
really was.
Very good. Cool.
Hmm.
All right. The next one,
Next.
chocolate. Are you a milk, dark, white, or other top type of chocolate lover?
Firstly, I would like to put my name in the game and say that I think white chocolate is chocolate. If it
That's
if it
redemption.
has I
Tanner, you've
I'm
made me so
I'm a
happy.
fan. I follow along. I know what's going on
I
here.
love this. I love this.
If it has cocoa butter. I feel like isn't
Yes.
that what makes it
Right.
I
That's
chocolate?
what
agree.
makes it white chocolate. I
There
agree with
are white chocolates out there that don't have cocoa butter.
Yes.
those.
That's
And
not
I
chocolate.
Those
exactly.
are candy.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
you
you
Totally.
said
agree
that
with
from the
both?
start, Christina.
I did. Did I not? Did I not? I think I always prefaced the white chocolate as having cocoa butter, like
Yes,
real white chocolate.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But a lot of the white chocolate that you find out there does not have cocoa butter, and that's what I say is candy.
Okay.
She's
So
already going all
it
Judgy
sounds like
face.
you guys agree. I
I
feel like
think we
I'm
do.
helping to heal this
The rift.
relationship.
You. Is that the sole purpose of agreeing to come on here is to like,
Yeah.
You're like, they're both saying the same thing. They need to hear me.
they're just not listening to each other.
Well, I don't think she was listening to me because at one point she's like, well, you don't even like white chocolate. I'm like, yes, I do. I love white chocolate. What are you talking about?
Well, you
Yeah.
flip-flop.
Well, I do flip-flop a lot.
Having said all of that,
Oh, sorry.
I don't like white chocolate.
It is chocolate that he does not
But
like.
it is chocolate and we have to respect that. I also don't really like dark chocolate. So milk chocolate
Milk,
by default,
Okay.
but
but you don't like
if I
chocolate?
had I do like chocolate
Okay.
and
Okay.
I like baking with chocolate. And if I'm baking, I will use dark chocolate because I think
Yeah.
that's a little more appropriate to balance out whatever sugar you're adding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But just to eat, I would say milk chocolate. But at the end of the day, I don't know if this is the next question, but it is vanilla for me.
Okay.
Chocolate
Well,
versus
good to
vanilla.
know. And we don't
We
have
didn't
that
we
as the
didn't
next
include
question. So
that.
Okay,
you're
well,
safe.
bonus. I know
Bonus,
people
Yeah.
a
were
bonus
people were
answer.
dying to hear that.
I do
Vanilla
like
is
vanilla. And I, I'm not a massive fan of chocolate. Like you know, it's all right, right? But it's not my go-to if for
Mhm.
like snacks or whatever. And I agree with you. I think vanilla far outweighs any love for chocolate. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, yeah.
My friend gave me a bottle of vanilla that she made herself
Mm.
Ooh.
for Christmas present, and I'm like, she gave one bottle to each of us in this group of four friends that I have, and I'm like, she has no idea. Like, nobody else appreciates it as much as I
Yeah.
do. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's treasured. It still has all the beans in there, and I can just
Oh,
add more
good.
vodka to it if
Nice.
and I love it. I'm just baking with it
That's
all.
so good.
I know,
Oh, when you're done with it, you can dry out the beans and make vanilla sugar.
right?
What a gift.
So
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
appreciate it so much. And yeah, vanilla is, I think, very underrated.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So excellent. Thank you for bringing that extra question in. All right. Stroopwafels or pretzels?
Stroopwafels,
Mm.
hands down. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
They're
so good.
they're so good. I like caramel.
Anything caramelly?
Anything caramel is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of how they went on the show, mm, I think I was like near the middle for both of those, so I don't really have like a super strong feeling about that. But I did buy a stroopwafel maker when I got home
Hmm.
because I wanted to rebake everything from the show for Instagram, so I did like all 24 bakes.
Good
Oh,
work.
wow.
But I was like, I need the stroopwafel. I like literally spent $80 on it, and I've made them like 3 or 4 times.
Okay. Well,
I should go back. They're
Yeah.
so
yeah,
good.
you
Yeah, they're
should.
so good.
So good.
Because you
That's
could
the
use,
taste of my childhood.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
cinnamon and caramel.
so good. And you could do the stroopwafel and use it like make your own ice cream cones or things
Oh
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
too,
yeah.
right? So, or
Okay, you have to
pizzelles.
correct your pronunciation again, both of you, please.
Oh no, I can't do it. I
Stroop.
know.
Stroop,
Stroop.
stroop,
I'm really bad at
Stroopwafel.
rolling my R's.
viola,
Stroopwafel.
viola.
No, you can say Stroop waffles, but it did run a little cringe down my back when they said it on the show. I was like, no. But that's okay because you say it
Stroop.
with a Canadian accent. I'll say it
Yeah.
with the Dutch accent. But they're good. They're very, very good. If they're made with all butter, they have all margarine ones too.
Oh, really?
Mm,
You don't
mm,
want that. Yeah.
No, no,
mm.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, unless you're making it for somebody who's vegan or has a dairy
Yeah, there
allergy,
you go.
then
They
that's that would
they
be the
sell
only.
they sell plant-based sticks are a very good option.
Yes, they are.
Hmm.
Cool.
Next question.
Oh, is it mine?
I was like, is it my turn? Do I
Yeah,
talk?
Tanner, do
Like, I'm not
that.
ready for
All right.
this.
Hey, next
Pace,
time.
pastry week or fancy desserts week?
Pastry week because it's the week that I won.
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very, very
And
good.
fancy desserts week was very stressful. There's only 4 of us. Um, and it was just that was a very scary week because it was like it's probably the thing that I'm like the worst at is like super fancy, elegant, highly
Mm,
decorative. So I was like, this is gonna be tough to get through. But pastry, yeah. Though our pastry week wasn't really like it was. I mean, 2 of our 3 challenges were tarts,
yeah.
Hmm.
and then our third was strudel, which is like interesting because it's a different type of pastry. But like to have pastry week and have like no puff or rough puff was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
or shoe pastry. I was like a
Yeah.
little strange, but
Yeah.
I
No.
whatever. I'll take that one because it was a good
But
week for me.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, you're not going to complain because you came out
Of
on top
course
that
not.
week. So yeah, yeah. Got
That
you
was
into
good.
the semifinals and
Hmm.
then beyond. So
And beyond, yeah.
nice.
So amazing. Okay. Cake or pie?
Pie. Pie. I'm
Mm.
not a huge cake person,
Huh.
which is tough in my marriage because I didn't grow up in like a super desserty family, but
Which is
Michael
shocking.
absolutely did. Like every family dinner had at least 3 desserts minimum.
Wow.
And
What?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like not a huge family. It was
Wow.
like it was interesting. They don't drink at all. Like no one drinks, but it's like cake with every meal, and then if it's like a family thing, it's a lot of cake. Um,
Wow.
Wow.
so yeah,
He didn't end up being the
as
baker.
a baker and stay-at-home parent slash husband, it is kind of expected that there's always dessert, and I just like didn't grow up like that. Dessert's a treat to me.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, we haven't quite sorted that one out
Oh,
Find
no.
the balance
Yeah.
there. I mean, I guess it's great if it feeds your need to bake,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
Actually, something that we did to prep before Lachlan was born. So I spent the 2 weeks prior like meal prepping. I think I prepped like 50 meals or something that we could just throw in the microwave and eat.
good
But I
work.
also made 100 chocolate chip cookie dough balls and froze them so that whenever we needed a cookie, late night cookie, they're ready. You just put it in the oven for
Nice.
whatever, 10 minutes and then it's good.
That's
Yeah,
perfect. Just
that's
enough time
brilliant.
to warm up the bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well
and
done.
there's not a whole lot beats that fresh, warm out of the oven cookie,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
makes everything so much better.
Good thinking ahead.
Exactly.
Yes,
Well
really
done.
good.
Hmm.
All right, next one. Aussie or British accents?
Ooh. I mean British for sure, but it's
Yeah,
interesting. There's like a million different British accents.
It's true.
So I will
true.
say British generally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yep.
not all of them.
When you were in the UK, were you right in London then?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah.
we were like in central London. Like my husband worked at Moorfields Eye Hospital. It's like a really famous eye hospital. And I worked at the Royal Academy of Arts, which is in like Piccadilly Circus. And
Oh,
so
brilliant.
every
Oh,
day, it was like a 40-minute walk from our flat. Sorry,
Flat.
go British again. From our flat, our basement flat, which was, not very nice because we didn't have any money.
but you were
But
in London.
but we were in London and we prioritize that when like, looking for a place to live.
Hmm.
But I walked to and from work every day, 40 minutes each way, and you just, pick a different street every day and it's incredible. It's an incredible city.
Oh,
Yeah, I
I've
it is.
miss
never
it all the
been.
time.
Yeah.
Is there a chance you'll ever go back? Live there again?
Not to live.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're settled, but definitely to visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More of the rural areas though, like Scotland, and actually both my husband and I have Welsh heritage and I still have family in Wales that we visited a couple times. So yeah, definitely want to spend some more time in Wales.
Nice.
That's
Oh,
very nice. Got family all over the world that you can go
Yeah.
visit. Fantastic. All right. The eternal question.
Here we go. I'm so ready for this.
oh, okay.
Butter tarts, raisins or no raisins?
With raisins
Ah!
Oh, Tanner. And
is the only answer.
I had such high hope for us.
Sorry. Should we end the call?
Yeah, sorry, sorry. You
No,
can
I mean
handle it,
like
Christina.
why not? I mean, people forget that raisins are dried grapes and they're delicious.
They're
Sorry.
delicious in butter tarts.
Yeah.
In cinnamon raisin bread
They're
and oatmeal cookies.
Is it a texture thing? I never
Yeah,
really get. Okay, it's a texture thing. Okay.
yeah, it's a
Well,
yeah.
texture thing for me
interestingly,
in butter tarts.
I hate butter tarts with nuts in them. I
Mm.
I
actually
wouldn't
hate
want that.
I hate most baking with nuts. Like a carrot cake with I put chopped pecans in my carrot cake, but it's like finely chopped.
Yeah.
I don't wanna
You don't
feel
want to
a
bite
bite
into
of it.
them.
But I don't
Yeah.
know, raisins are soft and they're
That's what she
But
doesn't like about it.
that's what I don't like. I don't like because it's just too there's too much chew. But I do
mm.
like a good currant in my butter tarts. So because
Sorry,
and I
I'm rolling
find
my eyes out loud.
and I think the other reason
I'm embarrassed for you.
and the other reason with raisins, they just add more sweetness and they're already sweet.
They
Like
are
butter
very,
tarts are
That's true.
like I need to have my dentist on speed dial, sweet.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I find by adding raisins to them, there's that extra sweetness and that extra texture that just isn't really
yeah.
required.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand that. I think, you know, when I have my annual butter tart, my one
Yes.
annual
So
butter tart, I
that's
don't
always
mind
good.
it. I don't mind it being like cloyingly sweet because that's part of the game. It's like what you're buying into.
yeah, that's fair.
And I only have like one a year, so
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
drink a cup of coffee with it while you're reading a book on your
yeah,
couch and just
yeah,
relaxing and just
And
going,
then
it's a moment.
yeah.
That sounds good to me.
butter
All
tart
right.
moment.
A butter tart
Canadiana.
moment.
Canadiana
Yeah.
moment.
Canadiana. Yep. Well, this has
Oh,
been really fun.
so
Thanks,
cool.
And
guys.
before we sign off, do you have a baking scrap for
I
us?
do because I'm very sleepy at the moment. I knew this was coming, so I wrote it down.
Smart.
I
Okay.
made some points.
I'm shocked that you're
Um,
this prepared.
well, I knew I would have to be because it was like, when we're just chatting, that's one thing, but when I'm asked to
Yeah.
impart some kind of wisdom, I was like, I'm gonna sound like a total idiot. So I'm gonna write some
No.
notes down.
We
Yeah.
wrote it down 14 times.
Actually, I have general baking advice, advice for getting on the show, and then
Oh,
advice for bakers who do get on the show.
Oh,
Would you like to
perfect.
would you like to hear all
all,
three?
all
Yes,
three.
all of them.
It's a thruple. No, no, that's a
No,
different thing.
Oh,
okay.
cut
Triple bonus.
Not cutting anything.
that.
All right. Let's
Okay.
get your advice in triplicate.
Okay, we'll go general baking first.
Okay.
Okay, so I said for new bakers, just follow a recipe. I mean, it sounds basic, but a lot of people are used to cooking where you have flexibility, you can change things on the fly. With baking, you really need to understand what's happening first. So I say,
Mhm.
yeah, follow a recipe, get the basics, and then when you want to start experimenting more, I would suggest experimenting with how you're combining different elements. So don't say like, I'm gonna wing this pastry cream. Say like, I make a fruit tart with a custard. I'm going to add a gelée layer, or I'm going to, instead of this crust, I'm going to do this crust. So it's not like, you're not winging the elements. It's like,
Everything.
I know how to make this custard. Let's do a lemon curd instead of
Mhm.
being like, I'm going to mess with this custard, if that makes sense.
Yep,
Yes. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Um, okay, so
Love it.
that's my general baking advice.
That's great advice.
Yeah. Okay. Advice for getting on the show.
Okay,
I guess for
I'm
season
all
10.
We're
ears.
all ears on this one.
Okay.
Is this for people who have failed before, or is
Yeah,
This
this
is
for
for
people who've
multiple
everyone.
never
times.
tried?
This is for everyone. So, you know, first and foremost, it's a TV show. So baking is important. Of course, they need to know that you can bake, but if you're not castable or whatever,
Hmm.
um, then they're not going to be interested. So
So be a
I
different
think,
person.
yeah, no, so what you have to do is to figure out, sorry, I just burped.
Do you want me to cut that?
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm on a roll. It's
All
just
right.
flowing out of me.
Amazing.
Um, so you have to figure out what is unique about you, and everyone likes to garden, everyone likes to bake. That's why we're here. So what you need to do is to ask your friends what makes you interesting and
Hmm.
figure out how to communicate that through your baking. I specifically say friends because family, they have to love you. They have to be around you, but your friends are the people in your life that choose to be around you. They find something interesting about you, and that's why they stick around. So
You don't pay
I
your
think it's
friends? Sorry.
that's fine.
That was good.
Yeah, so I think they're better judges at figuring out what makes you special and what sets you apart. And then it's your job to figure out how to communicate that. So, I like doing puzzles and playing video games. But I think the more interesting part about me is the traveling that I've done with my husband and my music background.
Mhm.
Um, and also, as like a bonus, the music background shows that I have performance experience and I can deal with like high pressure situations. So that's kind of the avenue that I went.
Yeah.
But because I've been in the music game for so long, I don't really find that to be super interesting about me. So
Mhm.
ask your friends what, and they thought that was the most interesting thing about me. It's like a very unique thing that, not a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think ask your friends, not your
I
family.
love that. I think that is
Okay.
such
Brilliant.
excellent advice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
definitely gonna go ask all my friends.
Um, advice for bakers once they get on the show. Okay, so I've alluded to this before. I think it's important that you have a plan. Obviously, I practiced a ton,
Mhm.
but you have to, in your plan, you need to be building in flexibility.
Mhm.
So I recommend having at least one element that you can drop on the fly, and it won't impact what's going on. So
Right.
if you've told them you have, a blueberry cake with a lemon, jelly, and a blueberry mousse. And then on top of that, you're gonna like drizzle something. Like you don't want to cut something from the
Yeah.
recipe that's like core to the recipe, but you can cut the drizzle because they don't really care about that. They're not gonna focus on it. And if you can use that time to make sure everything else gets executed properly, then great. In addition to that, I think everyone should have 1 to 2 extra decorative elements in their back pocket that they can, and just make sure you have these things around you in case you have the extra time. Like something like a tweel, or,
Mhm.
you can make a quick buttercream and pipe something on. I think that's super important because if you have time left over, obviously, like, we love helping our friends, but if you somehow end up with like 20 minutes left over, I mean, you could be adding something that could, put you over the edge or
Yeah.
save you if something went amiss. So I think it's important to build in flexibility into your plan. Just because it's a plan doesn't mean um it's like has to be so fixed.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Very
That's my
good.
advice.
That's
That's
awesome
Putting
advice.
excellent.
my phone
And
away.
and probably really timely as well, because I think by the time our this episode will air, most of the bakers are probably going to be right in that prep time
Yeah.
Mhm.
before they get into that tent. So,
Mhm.
and if they listen to our show, then
Which they should be.
they should
Which I'm
be.
sure they all are.
Right? But hopefully, yeah, your advice will resonate with them, and all three pieces, all and four, really. There were four pieces there
Yeah.
that you four pieces of great advice. So thank you very much for
Of
all of
course.
that. I think that's wonderful, and I think I'm going to stop paying my friends now.
So
Really,
embarrassing. But I need the money.
direct deposit. I'm going to be like, hey.
What's the most interesting thing about your friend? Well, she pays me to be her friend. That's pretty interesting.
I mean, that is interesting to a casting person. They're like,
Yeah,
there's something going on with this woman. I need
it,
to learn more.
it would be. Oh man, that's hilarious.
So I asked my friends that they really appreciate the money that I slip them every month.
That's why she has a very, very small selection of friends. She
Mhm.
curates them, the ones she can afford.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, Tanner, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. This has
Mhm.
been so much fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm a fan first, and Instagram friends,
Oh,
Yeah.
as well. So yeah, I love the pod, and to highlight how much I love the pod, I do have a little extra bonus note that I saw today that I totally forgot about.
Okay.
So when you launched your podcast, I said I would listen and like maybe give some advice just because I,
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
work in the marketing space. And then I wrote all these notes for the first episode, and then I just didn't tell you.
Oh,
So I have them, and I think you guys are absolutely nailing it because the criticisms I had, I was just like, they're not there anymore. It's amazing. So I said, audio quality is way better than most podcast newbies. So thumbs up.
wow.
Wow.
I said, totally charming back and forth. Would love more Lisa, Cristina time up top before the guest comes in.
Okay.
Um, this was from the first episode.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I said, you might not always have a guest, so it's important that the audience loves you guys first and foremost. They're coming here for you. I said, work on refining transitions. You had like a sound effect. Do you guys remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
I stopped
Um,
doing
I
that.
know, yeah, and it sounds so much better now. I was just listening to Jen's episode this morning. I was like, you sound
Nice.
so clean.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
I said, I love the this or that game, and it came at the perfect time, just when, not that the interview is going like stale, but it's like, freshen it up. And then, yeah, good mix of baking show versus general baking content. So those are my notes from almost a year ago, and I think you
Wow.
guys are nailing it. So
Oh,
congratulations, and I'm glad to
Oh,
be a part of it.
oh, well, we're so thrilled that we were finally able to make our schedules work and to have you
Yeah.
on the pod. And I can't wish you guys all the very, very best. I can't
you
say it
can't?
enough. I can. I'd love to. I'm
You could
sending
if
you
you
guys
wanted to,
all. I'm
but
sending you guys all the most positive vibes for a wonderful outcome for a new addition for your family. Hopefully
thank
soon.
you.
I hope that goes really, really well.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I really hope that you have occasion to make another 100 chocolate chip cookies to freeze
Yeah.
very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thank
Maybe
you
you'll
for
need more
the
than
well
100
wishes.
at that stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
Yes.
because we'll also have Lachlan to feed, so we'll
Yes,
need at least
exactly. He'll
150. Yeah.
he'll
Yeah, there
probably
you
need
go.
a cookie, and you
I
might
think
need
he
a
will,
few
yes.
when if
You
you
can
have
make them.
two under 3 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We're
So,
definitely thinking about you. So thank you again
mhm.
so much, and we look forward to talking with you again soon.
Yeah.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Talk to
you
you
so
later.
much. Yeah. Big, big love to you
Bye,
guys. Yeah.
everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well,
Ah,
what did you think of that?
oh, I love Tanner. I mean,
I
how
know.
could you not? He's
I
such a
know.
joy. So talented, multi-talented on so
Hmm.
many levels,
Yeah.
playing his instruments and his baking. He's a fabulous dad. I love that he's bringing his little one into the kitchen with him and
Yeah.
starting that process. It's just so fun to watch, and hopefully we'll see him on a
Oh,
future season of Great Canadian Baking
it's
Show. Wouldn't that
so
be
hard
cool?
to think that far ahead, but when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm really hoping that our show is going to be around that long. I mean, not our show, Baking Scraps, but the Great Canadian Baking
Like,
Show.
wow.
Maybe
Okay,
we're going to
well,
be.
that
I don't want to think that far ahead.
that would be amazing.
It would be quite amazing. I would be quite astounded by that. But anyway, that has nothing to do with what I was meaning to say. So excited to think about, Tanner and all the other wonderful bakers that we have talked to that are all over Instagram that we have been able to have these conversations with on our show, raising the next generation of bakers,
Fantastic. Absolutely. And it is
right?
about inspiring all generations,
Yes.
regardless of how old you are. If you haven't stepped into that kitchen and baked in a while, we hope you do. Go
Hmm.
in, enjoy, just try
Yeah.
different things and just have fun along the way.
Yeah.
It's a real special thing to be able to do
It
is
really
to
is.
bake something. And then if you can bake it for somebody that you love
Mhm.
or that you cherish, yeah,
I was
it's
going to
love.
say something rude.
Oh,
I say, or someone whose pants you want to get into.
well, sure.
Where did that come from?
Where do we go from there? I do not know,
I'm
but I
so
think this
sorry.
will
I
be
only slightly apologize for that, but that's where my brain went, and I'm like, you know what? We're real here. We're raw and real.
yes, we are.
Sorry, Christina. That's my
Hey,
raw and real.
I'm totally good. That is fantastic. Well, they usually say the best way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
True.
In your case, it might be a little lower. That's all.
Oh, wow.
Now you're wowing me. I love this.
Yes. Well, all right. Now that you've seen a little bit of insight into my how my brain can work sometimes, I will apologize one more time. And let's get a little bit more serious here. I'm so grateful that Tanner shared their journey and what they are working toward right now. Can we share a link as well, Christina?
It's called Our Missing Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Our Missing Piece
Yes.
dot blog. So yeah. And
Yeah.
if anybody is listening out there that might know somebody or you might be somebody that might be willing to help them find a surrogate for their next addition to their beautiful family, I'm sure they would so appreciate it. I think everybody would. It's always so special to bring a little human being into this world, making it a bigger, brighter, better place for all of us.
For everyone.
Yeah. So please help them out. Ourmissingpiece.blog.
And thank you so much for joining us today. And we will see you again next week. Happy
Sounds good.
baking.
Happy baking. Bye.